I want to talk today about what leaving the US did for my nervous system when number 45 and number 47 came into office. You're stressed out, and your nervous system is always looking for something to be stressed out about because you've trained it that way. And it doesn't feel normal when you're not feeling stressed out and when you're not worried. Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Samantha Ann. Welcome to my channel. I want to talk today about what leaving the US did for my nervous system when number 45 and number 47 came into office. If you know, you know. So, January 2017, I was packing up my whole life and selling everything and preparing to go on a year's travel to first the Caribbean. I went to St. Lucia. I went to Trinidad and Tobago. I went to the Dominican Republic. I did that for about 5 weeks. And then months later, I did a trip through Europe, and I went to Italy. I went to, where did I go? France. Did I go to France? Italy. I went to the Netherlands. I know that. Went to Amsterdam. I went to a few different places. And why did I go on this trip to begin with? I went because I had sustained several losses. I was married for 8.5 years, and my husband passed away from cardiac arrest. 11 months later, my best friend, who was also my spiritual father, passed away. And then a year after that, my mom passed away. So 3 back-to-back losses in 2 years. I was like, I got to get out of here. So January 2017, I had managed to get rid of my house. I had managed to um, quit my job. I quit my job the year before. I had gotten rid of almost everything that I own. I got rid of my cars. I got rid of everything, and I was preparing to leave. And January, was it 15th, 2017, I got on a plane and off I went. It was 5 days before the inauguration. I didn't know what was going to happen during that time when number 45 was in office. And I was just really trying to heal. And if you want to get a little backstory on that whole healing journey, I have a archive on my playlist called the Healing Series. It's really good. I look really different, but I was literally coming back from the dead. So if you are grieving, if you are having a hard time getting moving again after some devastating losses, I heartily recommend you take a look at the Healing Series because it was a whole trajectory of how to go from point A to point Z and get back on your feet. Right? It helps if you can travel, but even if you can't, it still is a lot of good juicy stuff in there to like get you going. So anyway, I landed in Cabo San Lucas in October 2017, flat broke, and not really knowing what the next thing was that I was going to do. And lo and behold, the next 3 years, I ended up living in Cabo. I got a job working at one of the resorts and was living the Cabo life. And what that did is it started to introduce me into a concept called rest that I thought I knew. I thought I knew what rest was. It was kicking back on the weekends. It was turning off my phone. It was going to Target. It was hanging out with my husband and my friends. It was going to church. It was going to the movies and the beach and all that kind of stuff. And that for sure brought me levels of rest. But the kind of rest that I entered into when I moved to Cabo San Lucas was like nothing I'd experienced before. Cabo's very laid back. It's a tourist port town, and it's expanded and boomed, and now it's all that Cabo is, right? It's a luxury destination that people from all over the world come to tap into blue waters and snorkeling and drinking and anything you can get into in Mexico, right? So I got into that life. I started going to the beach all the time. I started going to the beach clubs all the time. I went hiking. I went and found waterfalls in the desert. I slept and slept and slept and slept in. I was fortunate to have a bachelorette spot that was right in front of the Sea of Cortez. Maybe I'll put some pictures in here about that. It was amazing. And I made some friends and I just exhaled and came down. Now, while all this was happening, number 45 had already started wreaking havoc on the US and all kinds of drama and all kinds of, at any moment, every time I woke up in the morning, it was like, oh my God, did he push the button? And so afraid for my friends, so afraid for the people that I love. And when I talked to them and talked to my people, it was like every single day they were on pins and needles. And the level of stress that they were sustaining was just crazy, like absolutely unmanageable. And I'm praying all the time for them. I'm like, waking up worried, like, did something happen? And like just 3 years of hell, right? 3 years of like emotional turmoil and worry and concern. I felt personally like I was safe because I was in Mexico and nobody was really trying to like do nothing to Mexico. But my heart was still in California. My heart was still with my people and in various parts of the US. And the balancing between the two was it was a balancing act between worrying for my people and what was happening in the US and also adopting this sense of rest and this sense of like bring it all down for a little while. But I could see the juxtaposition of the two. I could see the difference between the two because I was living a life after I realized that everything was okay each day when I woke up. Then I went out and I started like living the Cabo life, and I started experiencing like levels of decompression, and my central nervous system started to recalibrate in a way. And it was crazy because I was always looking for the stress, like where's the stress? Where should I be worried? And I remember I was sitting out by the pool one day and there was nobody there but me. And I'm like literally sitting there looking for something to be stressed out about. And I got in the water, I got in the pool and I'm paddling around and stuff. And I hear the Spirit of God say something to me. And he's like, he was like, why are you looking for something to stress out about? He said, look at the sky. It's peaceful. Look around you. It's quiet. There's no one around. It's just you. He said, you're stressed out and your nervous system is always looking for something to be stressed out about because you've trained it that way. And it doesn't feel normal when you're not feeling stressed out and when you're not worried. And I'm like, my God, on today. What is that? I'll tell you what, if you get quiet for a minute, you get into a meditative space, you pray in the Spirit, and you spend some time with the Spirit of God, you will hear amazing things that didn't come from you. I know that did not come from me. That came from someplace else and infiltrated my whole being. But it started changing stuff when I became aware that that's how I was living and that's how I was used to living. That's how I had been trained and had trained myself to live. And the daily triggers and reminders to go back into that mode were continuous. Even if they weren't there, they were continuous in me. And so it taught me something about living in a place where turmoil is constantly bombarding you and coming from every side, that your nervous system is absorbing it all. And I'll tell you what, moving out of the country during 2017 definitely started to recalibrate it. Now, fast forward, 2017 becomes 2020, and now I've moved to Hawaii. Dream of a dream of a dream finally came true. I moved to Kauai which had been, oh my God, on my list. And more of the decompression started happening, more of the tropical goodness that is Kauai started seeping in. And remember, this was during COVID, right? So during COVID, I moved to Kauai and there was nobody there. Nobody was traveling, nobody was going anywhere. And Kauai, by all reports from the locals who were there, was like it had been 25 years before it had become over touristed and before the hordes had come in and just saturated the place with stress and all the rest of it. It was pristine. I would be on beaches that are crowded all year long, all year around. I'd be on those beaches and be the only one there or one of maybe 5 people there. It was amazing. And more of the stress came down, and more of the stress came down, and more rest it filled my body and filled my soul. So then, fast forward, and it is now 2024. Number 47 has now been re-inaugurated, about re-elected at least, and fast forward to January, February of 2025, I'm in Maui now. And I'm like, listen, I remember what happened when 45 was in office and now 47 is back in office. And I know that if I stay here in this realm, in this country, in this place, I'm going to be on the receiving end of all of the stress and worry that my friends went through several years before, but it's going to be worse because I knew it was going to be worse, right? And I was like, I can't be here, but I don't know where to be. I don't know where to go. I had a friend, a prophetic friend, who was praying for me, and he was like, you know what, Samantha? He said, he calls me Samantha. People call me different names, Sarah, Samantha, and just don't call me late for dinner, right? He's like, you know what, Samantha, I was praying for you, and I was praying to see like where your next house is, where should you live next. And I heard something, and like, you need to vet it yourself, hear from God yourself, and like see what you hear. But I heard Bali, and I'm like, Bali? If you follow me online, you know I've told this story before. Like when I heard that, it was like this rip went through my heart, and I'm like, oh my God. Bali was on my list to come to with my husband whenever I got married, when I was single before. I was like, oh, Bali and Fiji and Tahiti, I'm going to go there with my husband. We got married. We were married for 8.5 years, like I said, and we went to Mexico. We didn't go anywhere else, right? And so I put Bali on the shelf. I put it so far back, I didn't even think about it anymore. But when my friend, mentioned Bali to me, it was like it came roaring back full force. And I'm like, I get to do that? I get to go there? And I just felt this love of God just fill my whole body and my whole self. Tears, tiny tears go down my face. And I'm like, whoa, I get to do this. And so I kind of procrastinated because I was like, now I'm a little scared to travel. And now I don't know what I'm going to expect to, you know, experience. And I've never been to Asia, never wanted to go to Asia, and all the rest of it. But I eventually, like a couple of months later, me and a friend of mine bounced over here to Bali. And this has been another kind of unfolding in my life that's brought more rest. Now I'm a little bit more practiced. And I did hear that before I came here. It was like when I was nervous about coming, I heard in my spirit when I got quiet, it was like, you practiced for Bali by your time in Mexico. And I'm like, you don't say, right? I've come here now and like the world has gone crazy, right? There's wars happening all over the place, and there's people being displaced, and there's, constant bombardment, even worse than it was in 2017 to 2020. It's like even worse than then. And I am finding this rhythm and this peace and this massaging and nurturing to my nervous system that I could not be more grateful for. Honest to God, could not be more grateful for it. And I am finding this calibration and this recalibration in these soft spaces and in these quiet places and these green spaces is doing this thing on the inside of me that's giving me a baseline to hear my thoughts and to hear my dreams and to hear the desires of my heart. It's allowing me to be creative in a way that I've never been creative before. Like that's what happened to me when I was in Cabo in 2017, 18, 19, and so on. Is I wrote a book, it was a journal of healing to get over the grief, and it ended up becoming a book. I'm actually releasing that this about a month or so. So there'll be a link in the bio for this and in the body of this description. So click the link. You want to order it, pre-order it. It's really good. It's called Finding Your Glow. Anyway, plug over. I'm finding this creativity here. I'm working on this project. I heard the Lord talk to me a few years ago, and it came back again last year to talk to my uncles and find out about my dad and what he was like, because I didn't grow up with him and I'm feeling this sense of abandonment. And he's like, there's a wholeness that I want to bring you into, do this project and it's going to start healing these other parts of you. So I'm finding this creativity that I didn't have before. I'm writing my second book now. It's a companion piece to the first book. The first book is about getting over grief. This book is a romance novel. So I'm finding this as I come into more rest and finding my nervous system coming into peace and into a regulated system and being far enough away from crazy people who have more power than they should have ever been given. I'm finding a baseline of peace that's allowing me to live a very human life of creativity and communion with my soul, communion with my spirit, communion with the spirit of the creator, and my goodness, if I didn't live it, I don't know that I would know this kind of thing existed for us as people, as women, and certainly as Black women. I wouldn't know it. And I know that there's a lot of videos out, YouTube videos out from creators who are like roaming the globe now and finding their own slice of peace and finding their own slice of comfort. And I'm like, bravo. There's even this one creator, her name is Glow. I'm going to tag her here, where she's literally helping people, families, women to get passports to leave the US so that barrier isn't there anymore. So even if you wanted to make a move and you're like, I don't even have a passport, that barrier is not there anymore. There are different ones of us that are creating these outlets for those of us who desire to leave that constant pressure and that restriction of expression, restriction of being just a normal human being that's constricting our societies. There are these things that are coming out and rolling out from those of us who are finding some equilibrium and finding some glow, if you will, that there is enough in the cup to be able to start pouring for other people. And it's the most delicious thing in the world. I love logging in and seeing that someone is doing something like that. I'm going to be doing something like that too. I'm going to dig in my bag and find out how I can contribute to that space too, because I am a believer. This is my second time now being out of the country, out from under the microscope, out from the crazy, and being able to breathe. And I know the benefits of that. And I want to share that with other people. So if that's you, if you've been finding yourself out in the world and finding your slice of breathability, I want to hear from you. What does that look like? Where'd you go? What does your life look like now? And if you haven't found your way out from under the yet, I want to know what is your dream? Where would you go? Like, what does that look like? Who would you take with you? What do you think you need to make something like that happen? Like, holler back in the comments. Maybe we can create something together, because we only have one life. And peace is our portion from our divine creator, the father and the mother of all that is, the universe. Like, peace and breathing, like, clear spaces and finding joy in our lives is a birthright and not a luxury for a tiny few. So let's figure this out together. Let's work together. I'm Dr. Sarah Samantha Ann. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Let's have a dialogue, and make sure you tune back in, because we're going to do more of this, and finding more spaces to breathe and more spaces to recalibrate. I love you. I love you. I love you. Let me leave you with a blessing. I right now release the anointing for peace and joy over your life. I pray that every stressor in your life, every concern, every headache of living life these days would be doused with the peace of God and doused with the reviving nature and the reviving springs of joy and laughter and purpose and hope and vision. And I pray that you would find your slice of heaven, whether it be in this moment that we're spending together right now, or whether it's in finding your escape route. I pray that that would come to you, and come to you quickly, and that it would overtake you, and that the ways and the means for how to access that would be yours for the taking. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye from Bali. By the way, can you hear the construction that decided to come today of all days? Of course, of course. I hope you can't, but I hope it gets blended out. But if you did, sorry for that, man.